A very good afternoon, dear students. I hope you all are safe at your place. I, Professor Sonal Agrawal, welcome you all on the digital platform of Agrawal Vidya Vihar English Medium College. This is the lecture for the subject Banking Law and Practice Paper 1. What we did in the last lecture, I just want to brief out in short that in the last lecture we have started with the topic that is Garnishi order. In that we have discussed the meaning of the Garnishi order, that in very simple word, a Garnishi order is a order of a court making the garnishi means the bank, making the garnishi to pay the money not to the debtor, your debtor word is used for the customer of a bank. So not to the customer of a bank, but to the third party. The third party is the creditor whose debt is due. Here, so if any debtor is not ready to pay the amount which is taken from the creditor as a loan, in that situation, the creditor is having the right to claim in the court, and the order that is given by the court to the bank in which the customer is having an account, so that order is known as the Garnishi order. After that, we have discussed that how the word coined, the garnish word is coined from the French word that is garnish, and the meaning of the garnished word is to warn or to prepare someone for something. After that, we have discussed the types of the Garnishi order. That are the two types of that is order nishi and order absolute. Here, actually, it is not the type. As I already said in the last lecture, that it is the stages of the Garnishi order. The first order that is issued by the court, that initial order is known as the order nishi. As soon as the bank will receive the order, so what the bank can do, the bank has to stop the operations in the account of the customer, and the banker has to immediately inform to the customer. And the second order that is received by the banker, that is known as the order absolute. As soon as the order absolute will be issued by the court and will be received by the banker, so whatever order is written over there, the bank has to follow that order. So this is the two types. First is just focus on the first thing, that is the court directs the banker to stop the payment out of the account of the judgment debtor. So it is known as the order nishi. And the next is after the banks file the explanation, if any, the court may issue the final order. That final order is known as the order absolute. So the meaning of the order nishi and order absolute is written in short here for for you that you can remember it very easily. In case of order nishi, the banker, what the banker has to do, as we already discussed, the banker has to prohibit the uses of accounts. Here I have prepared a chart for you that whatever we discussed till now, everything is written on this chart. Yeah. Again, I am repeating whatever we discussed till now. Everything is written on this chart. Just make this chart very clear. Sometimes what happened that, as I already said in my last lecture, that this topic is also oriented from the examination point of view. But the student found this topic some little bit difficult, but it is not a difficult one. Actually, it is an interesting topic and it is an easier one. Just what you have to do, go through the content twice. Again, I am repeating, go through the content twice and it will be easy for you. So whatever we discussed till now, everything is written over here in a short form. That first you can see that on a red ink it is written effects of Garnishi order. Here, as soon as the banker will receive the Garnishi order, so what the banker has to do. So first thing, the bifurcation I have made in the 2 points, that is on the present balance and on the future balance. Here, just focus on my words, not on the diagram, that Garnishi order is applicable on the present balance of account only. Here, suppose when the banker received the Garnishi order, in that time the balance in the savings account were 5 lakh rupees. And the banker will receive the Garnishi order and the banker will stop the uses of that 5 lakh rupees. Here now the customer is not free to use that 5 lakh rupees, or you can say the customer cannot withdraw the amount from the account. Here which amount? That 5 lakh rupees balance. But suppose after that the bank, the customer deposited for more 1 lakh rupees in the same account. So here now the present balance is 6 lakh rupees. Clear? The past balance, or you can say the present balance at the time of receiving garnishee order, is 5 lakh rupees, and the future balance which is received by the banker after receiving the garnishee order, that is 1 lakh rupees. So that 1 lakh rupees is free to use. Here the customer can use that 1 lakh rupees as per their own wish. The garnishee order is applicable on only the present balance in the account. Here, so when the banker is received the garnishee order, in that time, whatever is the present balance here of the bank account, that on that present balance only the garnishee order is applicable. So the garnishee order is not applicable on future balances here. So as you can see on the screen chart, now focus on the chart, that effects of garnishee order is bifurcated into the two categories. First is the present balance and second is the future balance. So you can see on the present balance, future balance, sorry, focus on the future balance. On the future balance, I have written no effect. Clear? Whatever balance is submitted or the deposited afterwards by the customer, on the future balance the garnishee order is not applicable. Okay? So on the future balance it is not applicable. So now focus on the present balance. Here I have mentioned two things. If amount is mentioned, if amount is not mentioned. Here I am talking about the garnishee order. I have shown you the garnishee order form in the last lecture here, just to make the topic practical one. Here, just to give you the practical knowledge about the garnishee order, I have shown you the form. In that form, one column, as you see, that the blank space is given to write the amount. Here, after writing the name of the three parties, judgment debtor, judgment creditor, and garnishee, the next thing is about the information about amount. Here, if any information is mentioned in that form by the court, suppose the creditor creditor wants to recover 3 lakh rupees of loan, so suppose 3 lakh rupees is written on that form. So if amount is mentioned or sometimes amount is not mentioned, so what will be the effect of that garnishee order? So if amount is mentioned and if amount is not mentioned. So focus on the second point first, so that if amount is not mentioned, then I have written, just you can focus on the chart, that stop payment of whole amount. Here, so if amount is not mentioned on the garnishee order, that what the banker has to do, the banker has to stop the payment of whole amount. The same example I am taking about that 5 lakh rupees. In the savings account, the present balance is 5 lakh rupees. So if amount is not mentioned, so what the banker has to do? The banker has to stop the payment of full 5 lakh rupees. Now suppose if amount is mentioned, the loan amount is 3 lakh rupees. So the amount mentioned on the garnishee order is 3 lakh rupees and the present balance is 5 lakh rupees. So what the banker has to do? So the two categories I have mentioned here. Up to the limit of mentioned amount. Which amount is mentioned here? 3 lakh rupees. So up to the 3 lakh rupees, stop the payment. So now the bank customer is not able to use 3 lakh rupees. And second, you can see on additional amount. Which is additional amount here? 2 lakh rupees is the additional amount. The present balance of the savings account is 5 lakh rupees. The amount mentioned in the garnishee order is 3 lakh rupees. So extra balance is 2 lakh rupees. The 2 lakh rupees is known as the additional amount. So on that additional amount, the customer can withdraw the amount. The customer is free to use that amount. Clear? I hope it is clear. So this is all about the effects of garnishee order, that as soon as the banker receives the garnishee order, what the banker has to do. I hope it is clear in your mind. Just if it is not clear, just go through the chart twice, and of course it is very easy and it will be clear. Just keep in mind the same example of that 5 lakh rupees. Present balance of the savings account is 5 lakh rupees. On for the future balance, take the amount of 1 lakh rupees. Amount mentioned in the garnishee order is 3 lakh rupees. So the additional amount is 2 lakh rupees. Clear? Just set this example in your mind, and of course it will be clear to you. Now that we are going to discuss is about the applicability of the garnishee order. Here actually what this is all about. This is all about that certain special situations are there. In that situation, whether the garnishee order is applicable or not. So this point we are going to discuss in today's lecture. I am repeating again what is mean by applicability of the garnishee order. What we are going to discuss in this point. In this topic, we are going to discuss some of the situations situations here, or some of the you can say types of the order, types of the accounts. Here, so in certain situations, in certain types of the accounts, the garnish order is whether it is applicable or whether it is not applicable. That point we are going to discuss here. The first thing that is the garnish order is to be clear. Here, the garnish order means the order of the court. That order must be very, very clear. As you shown the garnish order form in the last lecture, that three columns were there. The name of the judgment data must be written, the name of the judgment creditor must be written, and the name of the garnishee must be written. Suppose the name of the judgment debtor is written Mr. Ram Patel, and the bank so Ram Patel is the name of the customers here, and the bank is having the two Ram Patels in the customer list. So in that situation, the order is not clear that which account should be stopped. Again, I am repeating, the name is mentioned on the garnishee order form, that is the name is Mr. Ram Patel, and suppose the bank is having two customers with the same name. Here, so now the order is not clear that whose account should be stopped. So in that situation, the banker cannot stop the account of any customer. Why? Because the order is not clear. There is a misconcept, and the misconcept must be clear. So now the banker is not in the condition to stop the transaction of any accounts. Here, I hope it is clear to you. So if the banker is responsible to follow the garnishee order only when the bankers get the true and precise identity of a customer. If the identity of a customer is not clear, then the garnishee order is not applicable. What we are talking about here, we are talking about the identity of the customer. If the identity of the customer is not clear, then the garnish order is not applicable. Here, as the same example we have taken, that Mr. Ram Patel, here whose account is to be stopped is not clear. Why? Because the banker is having two customers with the same name. So the identity is not clear, that who is the right Mr. Ram Patel and whose Ram Patel is the judgment debtor. So in that situation, the garnishee order is not applicable. The second situation is when there is an overdraft on the name of the judgment debtor. Here, suppose now the for second example, that now the clear name is written on the garnishee order. The identity of a customer is the precise one. The banker is able to know the customer. But suppose in that account there is already an overdraft. Here, suppose the name is written Mr. X, and Mr. X is having a current account or whether it is savings account. In that account, there is already an overdraft taken by the Mr. X. So of course, as you know that the overdraft means what? The excess amount is withdrawn comparison to the available balance. So it means it is a negative balance in the account. Yes. So if it is already negative balance, then of course that garnishee order is not applicable. Why? Because garnishee order is on the amount of the account, and there is or not this amount is not available in the account. Already there is a negative balance, so of course the garnishee order is not applicable. Then third, when the account has been assigned. When the customer has assigned the account or assigned the credit amount in his account to any third party, and the banker has the customer has informed to the banker, in that situation the garnishee order is not applicable. Why? Because the customer produced a check where the account is already assigned. I hope you know the meaning of assignment. Assignment means transfer the ownership of the account to the third party. If the ownership is transferred to the third party before receiving the garnishee order, and of course the information is also given to the banker about that assignment. So in that situation, as even if it is account is having the balance here, even if the balance is available, but the authority is transferred to someone else, to the third party, so the garnishee order is not applicable. Suppose Mr. X is having a saving account, in that the balance is available is 5 lakh rupees, but Mr. X has assigned the authority to Mr. Y. So as per the rule of assignment, now Mr. Y is the owner of that saving account. If the garnish order is received by the banker of the account of Mr. X, so now the account is already assigned to Mr. Y. So Mr. X is now having no authority on the saving account. So as the account is assigned, so the garnish order which is applicable on the account of Mr. X, it is not applicable now. So I hope it is clear. The next is if the amount of the account, if the amount in the account of a customer is of a trust. Suppose sometimes it happens that the account is registered with the personal name of the customer, but this is the amount of a trust. Here, when the amount lying in the account of the judgment debtor and the court's garnish order is not applicable on that amount. Why? Because the amount which is, you can say, which is transferred in the account or which is deposited in the account of that individual person, here the individual person is not having the authority on that amount. Why? Because this is the amount of the trust. Here the individual person whose name is registered to open the account, but the bank is having the knowledge that the account is opened as a trust. So you can see that nowadays sometimes a pandemic situation is there. So many persons come forward to start the you can say the trusting activity. So sometimes it is possible that the account is registered with the name of individual person, but the banker is having the knowledge that amount of that account is used as a trusting purpose. Here, so when the banker is having this type of knowledge that the customer that amount in the account is not about the customer's authority, that amount is going to be used as a trusting purpose. So in that situation, the garnish order is not applicable. Why? Because the garnish order is against the customer, but the authority or the ownership of that amount is not of the customer, but about the amount is going to be used about the trust. The next is the amount which is credited by a customer after the issuance of the garnish order. This is about the future balance that we just discussed in the chart here. If any amount is credited by the customer in the same account after issuance of garnish order, so in that situation, as we just discussed before 2 minutes, that on the future balance, the garnish order is not applicable. The next point is the effect of a banker's right to set off the accounts. Here we have discussed this point, the set off the accounts already in the same chapter. That right of set off means the right of a banker to combine the two accounts in the same bank, where the one account shows the debit balance and the another account shows the credit balance. Suppose the customer is having two accounts. One is the saving account, second is the current account. In the current account, the customer has taken the overdraft of 10,000 rupees. So it means the current account shows the negative balance of 10,000 and the person is having the balance in the saving account is 50,000 rupees. I hope it is clear to you. So, as soon as the banker receives the garnish order on saving account, here again I am repeating that the banker receives the garnish order on saving account of that customer. The rule says the garnish, if the banker receives the garnish order, so they'll stop the full payment of the amount. So here full payment is 50,000 rupees. But before stopping the account or before stopping the transaction from the account, the banker is having the right to set up the accounts. Means the banker can set up that 10,000 rupees of the current account. So now after setting off, the balance available in the saving account is 40,000. So the garnish order is applicable only on the 40,000, not on the 50,000. Why? Because the garnish order cannot sacrifice the banker's right to set up the accounts. I hope it is clear. The next is the deposit for a specific purpose. Here, sometimes it happens that the deposit which is made by the customer in the account is for a specific purpose. Here, suppose the payment of an installment. Here, so this at that time when the bankers know that the deposit is made for any specific purpose, in that situation the banker cannot sacrifice that specific purpose. The banker has to fulfill that specific purpose. Here, suppose the banker has the customer has deposited some amount in the fixed deposit account, and the purpose is that on the security of that fixed deposit account the customer wants to take a loan. So here the purpose is clear. What is the purpose of FD account? The customer wants to take a loan on the security of fixed deposit account. So here, if the banker knows that that account is made for any specific purpose, so if the garnishee order received on that particular FD account, so in that situation, the garnishee order is not applicable. Why this is so? Because that fixed deposit account is opened for a particular specific purpose, and that specific purpose cannot be sacrificed by the banker. Then last one is about the joint account. Here the garnishee order is also not applicable when one or any more individual has opened the joint account and for that individual debt clear is due and the court has issued the garnishee order against any one individual person. Suppose the garnishee order is issued for Mr. X account here, but the banker is having a saving account with the joint ownership that Mr. X and Mr. Y both are the owner of that account. And in the garnishee order, the name written only Mr. X. So of course, as this is a joint account and the garnishee order is not applicable on joint account. Why? Because it is issued against the individual person. So I hope it is clear. So certain situation we discussed in today's lecture that if these situations were there, then the garnishee order is not at all applicable. I hope it is clear to you. What we did in the today's lecture, we revised the topic that is the garnishee order we discussed or we started in the last lecture. Again, I am repeating. That topic is important from the examination point of view. And now we are on the end of our unit number 2 here. So it is advisable that start reading. After that, I'm planning an MCQ examination for you. After as soon as we complete, this is the last topic for the chapter here. Just one lecture I'm going to take on the same topic. Otherwise, the topic is almost over. But I'm thinking that this topic require one more lecture for you for the betterment of you. So after that, I'm planning about the MCQ examination. This examination may be on any day. I will inform you one day before just. So it is advisable that start reading because I'm not going to give you some times that prepare in 2 or 3 days. Here I will inform you in one day before and you have to be prepared for it. Now we are going to meet in the next lecture. Start reading. Stay home. Stay safe. Have a good day. Thank you.